Hi, I'm Vanshika, a student of MSc Food Science and Technology in LPU, and we'll discuss about extrusion process and its application in the manufacturing of novel food products. So, extrusion is a HTST process, which means high temperature short time process, which has become very popular nowadays for the manufacturing of new and traditional food products. In this, the food ingredients are forced through a die which shape them in a desired shape and form. To do this, extruder is used, which comprises of a rotating screw that has been fit inside a stationary barrel. We will discuss about the various types of extruder in this PPT later. So, talking about the extrusion process, as you can see the flow chart on your screen, firstly the raw material is added to the hopper. The raw material may include protein, starches, and other minor ingredients. The next step is preconditioning, that will add moisture to the raw material and improve its retention time. Then it is transferred to the feeder, after which the actual extrusion cooking starts. The food products are then formed into desired shape, sometimes sweetened or fried, and then finally packed for selling. So, next we'll talk about extrusion cooking. Extrusion cooking, as we know, is a HTST process in which a combination of food products is subjected to high temperature for a short duration of time. This also leads to the destruction of microorganisms and anti-nutritional factors. The digestibility of proteins and starches present in the food is also improved by this method. As you can see, these are the main type of food products that are manufactured using extrusion process, which includes pasta, your breakfast cereals, and your puffed snacks. Then, types of extrusion cooking are there. So, firstly, we'll talk about cold extrusion. In cold extrusion, there is no direct heating or cooking inside the barrel taking place, and it is used mainly for the manufacturing of pasta and meat products. Then we have hot extrusion. We all know it is a HTST process, and in this the food is heated above 100 degree of Celsius, forced between one or more dies, and then finally dried, sweetened, and packed. So here we have a image of how a extruder works. So the hopper is where we add the raw material, and the screw helps in taking that material towards the die where our ingredients are shaped and formed into the final food product. Now, finally, coming to the types of extruders, we have two types of extruders: piston, roller type, and screw extruders. Piston extruders were first used for the processing of meat and sausages. Then, talking about roller extruders, these comprises of two rollers, one of them is perforated while the second one is knurling. Screw extruders are of two types: multiple screws or single screws. These screws, as we have talked about earlier, carry the material forward towards the die where they are shaped desirably. Now we'll talk about the application of extrusion process in our food industry. So, first of all, it is used for the manufacturing of a ready to eat food. So, various type of foods, for example, are confectionery products such as our candies and stuff, our breakfast cereals, the snacks we eat, all these are manufactured using the extrusion process. Then the second point that we have here is value addition to food wastes and byproducts. So the products, for example, the tomato peel, the pineapple waste that we discard, are used in this process, which means the processed food residue is also reduced by using the extrusion process. Then we have pet foods and animal feeds, semi moist and aquatic food for ornamental fishes and exotic species in our aquariums are manufactured using the extrusion process. Now, like everything, extrusion process have its own advantages and disadvantages. Let's start by discussing the advantages first. So the first advantage of extrusion process or extrusion cooking is that it is a very low process cost as compared to the other methods that we can use for manufacturing our food products. A variety of products can be manufactured using this process just by changing the ingredients, the type of dye that we use. Then coming to the third point, as we know that our extrusion cooking is a HTST process, so the nutrient loss is very low as compared to other methods. Coming to the fourth point, it also helps in digestion of proteins and starches. And how does it do it? The denaturation of proteins at high temperature during extrusion inactivates the anti-nutritional factors like lectins and thus improves the digestibility of proteins. So the last point that we have here is that our extrusion process is a low moisture cooking process, so less heat is required in cooking and thus it also helps in saving energy. Now coming to the disadvantages of extrusion process. Only limited variations are possible while using extrusion process because only one type of dye can be used at a single time. Then the second disadvantages that we are faced with sometime is that the color of a food products may fade as we use excessive heat on the food products, and this can sometimes leads to the food being unattractive in looking. Then the last point that we have here is high temperature and low moisture conditions. Those are the conditions we use during extrusion cooking. It leads to chemical reactions, for example, caramelization and enzymatic browning of a food product. So, this was our last disadvantage of extrusion process. So, to conclude this presentation, we can say that extrusion processing provides a great versatility for the development of low cost, high nutritive, and convenience foods. And with this, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.